The 7-Year Itch is a 1955 romantic comedy directed by Billy Wilder, starring Tom Yule and most infamously, in probably one of her most iconic roles, Marilyn Monroe. 7-Year Itch is a reference to in the book, not the book, in the movie, which is actually based on a stage play, 3-act play. There's a reference to, like, you know, a middle-aged male and all the troubles that they have, repressed energy, and also talking about how when they get married, when they get married after about 7 years, they get the itch, the desire that they need to find something new, a new, fresh partner to either cheat on or whatever. So the movie opens with what would be considered now today a horribly racist scene, which is it's sort of a scene that's supposed to demonstrate, you know, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Saying, the island of Manhattan used to be, you know, 300 years ago, all the native women and children would leave the encampment there and go off to cooler things, while the men would stay behind and do the hunting and fishing. And, you know, you have white actors in brown face waving goodbye, and as soon as they left, a jiggly hot native woman, I'm sure they'd say a different word at that point, came jiggling by, and they're all like, hound dog, following after, chasing her. The whole thing of, and indeed nowadays we open with Tom Yule taking his family to the train station, and they're off to go into Nantucket or something like that. And yes, the second that they leave, a whole bunch of guys are like, oh, there's a hot chick, follow her. And he's like, oh God, they're just being terrible. They're being terrible. You know, I'm going to resist that. I'm also going to follow my doctor's order. No drinking, no smoking. You know, I'm going to just, you know, have a very sedate life. And Marilyn Monroe moves in upstairs. So he's fucked. He's definitely fucked. He's got the mother of all temptations that way. It was somewhat of a shock to see Marilyn Monroe in this role. It's always somewhat of a shock, because she is such the example of kind of sex bomb, sex doll, Cupid doll kind of presentation, at least when you first see her. The secret of Marilyn Monroe is there does seem to be more going on under the surface. She's not just that. She is actually, yes, an amazing comedic actress who, yeah, there's a lot going on. She's very smart at how she presents her image and stuff like that. But when you first see her, it's just like, you feel a little dirty, because it's like, oopsie, I've just been so, you know, it's kind of, you're just, it's like no one would go this over the top with sexuality anymore. But she did it first, and you know, arguably does it the best. This really is Tom Yule, the guy at the center, who apparently he was also in the stage, the 3-act play that it was. He came from the stage to do this, and they got Marilyn Monroe special for it. And he does an amazing job of being this guy, and kind of doing that juggling thing of, even from a modern perspective, I think they make him have enough of a conscience, and enough of like, oh God, you know, I don't want to cheat on my wife. He does kind of grab at Marilyn Monroe on the first night that she comes over. But he's like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. That was just horrible. Please leave. I'm so sorry. You know, that wears off as the thing goes on. But, you know, he does actually a fairly good job of, even now, I mean, there's still a certain amount of, like, you know, infidelity, and he's cheating on his wife. Apparently in the movie, famously, because of all the production code, he never slept with the girl upstairs character, but in the stage play he most certainly did. And I mean, there's sort of, you get like, oh, it's the night after, and oh, he slept on the couch and she's sleeping in the bed, but it's like, it's Marilyn freaking Monroe. And Marilyn is the character who I think is just referenced to as the girl. What is she called? Yeah, yes. Yes, Marilyn Monroe, who is credited as such, as the girl, credited as such. Though, actually, at one point, another character, says, like, what do you, who do you think she is? Maybe she's Marilyn Monroe. Actually, I think that's Tom Yule's character. Yes, sorry, Tom Yule sarcastically refers to say, oh, who is she? I don't know. Maybe she's Marilyn Monroe. But she's always the girl, so she's not actually Marilyn Monroe. She's in TV. She does toothpaste commercials. It's got a very much, Tom Yule is doing very kind of a Walter Mitty thing. There's a lot about his imagination. And, yeah, I mean, strangely, at the end, it's one of these movies where, for all of Marilyn's sex appeal, it's not about running off with the hot chick. This is actually like, hey, I can get confidence in myself, Tom Yule's character. It's about Tom Yule's character, getting confidence in himself and telling off a guy that he feels like is sniffing around his wife and going up to tell her he loves her and kind of like be a little bit more powerful. And, I guess Marilyn is playing, as the girl, is playing kind of the magic dream, a very early version of the manic pixie dream girl who brings that realization in the hero, banging him apparently in the stage play to do that. Yeah. So it's you get a certain amount of queasiness with Marilyn Monroe, but it's like she does pull her magic on you, and you get to like her more and more, which is like, it could be a very unsympathetic role. She is a bombshell who's like, oh, you're married. Oh, well, that's okay. I like sleeping with married men because they're never going to tell me they love me. Because like so many men try and like make me marry them, and I don't want to marry them. I want to have fun. And so she likes married men, which could be like really considered and not sympathetic character. And, I'm sure there's maybe a lot of people out there who don't think that this is a particularly a great, healthy character. Basically, a gorgeous woman handing out sex to slubby guys. She does have a thing of saying like, oh, who wants the big alpha guys when you could have the sweet, sensitive guy in the corner who's shy, but maybe he's going to be tender and all this stuff. And it's like, oh God, that is so, it's wish fulfillment, but you also wonder if that's the girl character saying, I see this guy, I'm going to help this guy by giving him this speech to remind him. And indeed, he internalizes this and uses this as a part of his announcement of, I am actually worth something. So, yeah, it's strangely enough a fairly meaty thing. This movie is most famous for Marilyn Monroe standing on a subway grate and having her dress blown up. That scene there. If you can see it. Actually, in the movie, it's not, strangely, you don't really actually see too much. Where you get a lot of the images from are because Billy Wilder invited the press to that filming because he wanted publicity, and boy, he got publicity. That is like, the example of the sexy woman having her dress blown up and loving it. Even though I know one critic that I listened to, Whitney Seibold, said, like, you know what the predominant smell coming out of those subways is? It's urine. It's like, it's piss. So that would not be a pleasant thing. Would not be a pleasant thing in a movie. But so, yeah, just think of all the overwhelming pee smell as you look at pictures of Marilyn Monroe getting her dress blown up. So yeah, it's one of these things you can always, there's the myth. There's all the stories. There's a new movie coming out where she apparently is just getting tortured through the whole movie, based on a Joyce Carol Oates novel, which actually I own in ebook form. She is an interesting character of both femininity and male desire, and also what her own agency was throughout all of this. So it's fascinating, and I can see why something like 7 Year Itch, just as a movie, even if it didn't have that scene, would kind of cement her that way. That, some like it hot. Billy Wilder being an extremely intelligent director who wasn't using women as throwaway sex objects. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the 7 Year Itch. Definitely check it out. All right, I've been Jay. More videos later.